So, what is the humanistic approach, right? So, the humanistic approach, it comes from the more existential philosophical root, right? So, if you look at the ideas, there were philosophers that had similar ideas, but the humanistic psychology puts a strong emphasis on reaching one's potential, striving for self actualization, and the basic assumption that we start healthy. So if we were to compare what Maslow and Rogers are talking about in a humanistic approach relative to Freud and his followers, notice they focus on some deficits or things you might be struggling with. Here, we're starting with the baseline that you're good. And Abraham Maslow had his hierarchy of needs, and it's depicted two different ways. Sometimes it's depicted as a pyramid, sometimes it's depicted as a ladder. But at the base, the first rung of the ladder, or the base of the pyramid, are our physical needs. Now, our physical needs, what are they? They're need for food, water, air, sex, sleep. These are basic physical needs. What Maslow believed is that you could not reach self actualization until all of your deficiency needs are met. So, needs 1 through 4 are things that you could be deficient in. Once you satisfy all 4 of these, then you can reach your potential. Safety. Now, safety can be a physical safety like shelter, but it also is a psychological safety, right? So, psychological wellness or freedom from anxiety. Then we have belonging and love, right? So, we're moving up this ladder. Now, love is an interesting one. We all want to find our person, and we will spend a fortune dating, and people will spend money on dating apps, multi-billion-dollar industry, just to find love, because it is one of our needs. Now, people will trade in some of their lower needs, like sleep. They'll talk on the phone and get very little sleep when they have a love interest, or stress, psychological distress. They will endure psychological distress to find love. That's how important love is, right? So it's higher right now. Um, Physical is at the base, then safety, then love and belonging, and then esteem, feeling valued by your peers or accepted by your peers, social inclusion. That's important. So now we're looking at more of a societal level, giving back to society, similar to what Erickson said in middle adulthood, and feeling part of something bigger. When you do or satisfy these 4 deficiency needs, right, then you can approach self-actualization, which is feeling as though you've reached your potential. Now, how do we get there? Well, according to Maslow, across our life, we're going to have these special experiences that time may stand still, or we might have these aha moments, these insightful moments where we have a choice. When we have that moment of clarity, do we act on it and move towards our mission or purpose in life, or not? So the people who move towards their purpose in life and they use the clarity that they have in those moments of insight to guide them, they're going to reach their potential. But if you don't, you're going to stagnate, you're going to struggle. So we all have these peak experiences or mystical experience where it seems like time stood still. You have immense clarity and inspiration. Now, in order to be self actualized, you'll see that Maslow, in his list, he felt that you needed to be, um, approaching middle adulthood for this. Children don't reach their potential in childhood, right? There's more to go. So, if you were to look at people like Eleanor Roosevelt or Albert Einstein or Dr. Martin Luther King, they're on the list of people he believed reached their potential. Now, his list is dated, and there are a lot of other people we could put on it, but uh, he demonstrates how each of these individuals fulfilled their basic hierarchy of needs. Okay. So again, here's just the pyramid model where you start with your physical or physiological needs and your safety, then your love and belonging needs, your esteem, and then self-actualization. Not one thing that it's important to state is not everybody self-actualized. Not everyone reaches their potential. Now, similar to climbing a mountain, though, according to Maslow, once you are self actualized, you've reached the top of the mountain, and that's transformative. So that's who you are for the rest of your life. And one of the few differences in agreement between Rogers and Maslow is when you self actualize, whether you need to continue to put the work in. Maslow, as you can see, once you climb the top of the mountain, you're at the top of the mountain. Rogers disagreed, right? So one of the things that he said is that to be a fully functioning person, you have to continue to work. Now, he did hit fully being a fully functioning person was a synonym for Rogers to being self-actualized. But unlike Maslow, Rogers felt life is like walking up an escalator that's going down. If you stop working on yourself, you will regress. So it is possible for a person who was fully functioning to regress. So that's a slight difference. Another major thing that is different about Rogers and Maslow is Rogers really was focused on psychotherapy. So he's more focusing also on the clinical aspect of reaching one's potential. And Rogers said, if we're going to help you reach your potential, there need to be three conditions that are met in therapy to help you reach your potential. Genuineness. You have to be completely open with your feelings. There can be no fraudulence. Now, by the way, the genuineness also has to come from your clinician. So not only do you have a responsibility for, being true to yourself, but the therapist has to be authentic as well or genuine. Acceptance. One of the problems that Rogers stated is that young children have what's called conditions of worth. Young children are taught that in order to receive love, they must perform in a certain way. So if we're talking about, let's say, Little League, and we're talking about baseball, and we had a person, and let's say, how do we say this? Oh, okay. They're at bat and their team is down, and if they get a hit, the team wins. If they strike out, the team loses, right? And let's imagine they struck out and the team loses. Conditions of worth would look like the parent ridiculing the child. Why didn't you hit the ball? The team lost because of you. And the implicit message to the child is that I'm only worthy of love when I'm a winner. So to counteract that, Rogers introduced this idea of unconditional positive regard, which is this radical acceptance of you regardless of your shortcomings. I accept you for who you are as you are with no strings attached. And that's to like reshape your expectations to understand that you have intrinsic value, intrinsic worth as a person. And then last but not least, there's empathy, the ability to, be with a person, helping them through their suffering as a team. And clinicians have to show significant empathy in order to do their job, right? So these are the three pieces. Now, I'm going to talk about trait or trait theory. So let me pull that up.